Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Attorney John Deaton has put out an absolute masterpiece. It's this incredible documentation of undisputed facts that will blow your simple little mind. It blew my simple little Moon Lambeau mind, that's for damn sure. It's like most people, I just feel like, would not believe this. Seriously. Now you and I, we're a little bit more in tune. At least I'm assuming if you're listening to this channel, maybe you're brand new. But if you're not brand new, you're probably pretty well in tune with what's going on here. But still, even I reading through this masterpiece from John Deaton, still, it's just, I had a few moments where it's just like jaw drop stuff. And there will be things in here that, a number of things that you're not familiar with and have not heard. This is absolutely incredible. So what I'm talking about here is Attorney John Deaton, who of course is the attorney who will be participating in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of now over 38,000 XRP holders. He put together this incredible thread all up on the Twitters. And it's a timeline with pure facts, and even just reading the facts, and I'll share with you my thoughts along the way, but even just the facts alone speak for themselves, the degree to which what should I call this? Like, I never want to go too far because I don't want to be hyperbolic, but like, it has the, I'll just word it like this, I suppose. It has the appearance of bad intentions and corruption. I'm not going to go so far as to claim that anybody actually did anything illegal because I don't have sufficient evidence for that. But it's one of the situations where it's just like, if there's smoke, there's probably fire. And there's a whole mess of smoke up in this bitch. But before I go any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so this thread, I did retweet it. I just simply wrote, read this, and a bunch of you did, so which is good. I wanted to spread the word here. And an XRP community member named Pompous Maxi, that's a name he goes by on Twitter, Pompous Maxi, wrote, I love how he tags everyone, what they must be thinking. And so what he's talking about here, and I've actually always loved this. I'm glad I'm not the only one that recognizes this and appreciate it. But anytime John Deaton has something to say on the topic of the SEC versus Ripple case, and he frequently does, thankfully, I love how vocal he is. And I love getting his take on everything having to do with this topic. But he'll just tag everyone associated with it, whether it's somebody that we'd perceive as being on the right side or somebody on the wrong side, whether it's Gary Gensler or Joe Lubin. Just pick your person, whoever it is. He's tagging all of them. Even when it's not such positive sounding stuff having to do with them. I'm just like, yeah, you go get them, son, for sure. So let's go ahead and dig in here. And this might be kind of long. I never know how long these videos are going to be when I start them. I just have a feeling this might be a somewhat longer one, but we'll see how it goes. So here's what John Deaton wrote. XRP holders versus SEC versus Ripple. These are the facts, and they are not in dispute. And he wrote that in all caps for a reason. These are simply facts here. And I'll add in my commentary along the way. And I got plenty to say, but check this out. March 23rd, 2017. Clayton agrees to recuse himself from voting on any matter related to his law firm's clients. And that would be Sullivan and Cromwell. That's his law firm. November 30th, 2017. Lubin and ConsenSys announced the Brooklyn project. So for those of you not in the know here, I just pulled up the page right here. This is from November 30th, 2017, from the official ConsenSys website, and they had this titled "Announcing the Brooklyn Project for Token Launches, a company and industry-wide initiative to help fulfill the promise of tokenization by addressing head-on and solving the issues raised regarding token launches." And this is important, just that's all you have to know for now. As we go through this, you'll see why this is relevant, because they ended up having some interactions specifically with the SEC, and we're talking about regulations of tokens. And understand, when we're talking about ConsenSys, this was founded by one of the co-founders of Ethereum. It's all intertwined in an amazing way. And also, so I'm not going to read this other than just like two sentences. This was written by Joe Lubin. Again, he's the founder of ConsenSys, co-founder of Ethereum. And my gosh, this is rich. Let me just read, this is just like I think one or two sentences here. He wrote in the middle of this thing. As with any new technology, there have been problems. We have seen scammers, bad companies, and bad models. We have seen projects that designed and sold tokens that are ostensibly securities, but that did not actually follow applicable securities law. Well, God damn it, what the hell is that? Pot calling the kettle black, right? This guy launched a freaking ICO in 2014 with the rest of his Ethereum co-founding cohorts, and he has the audacity to call out others that did the same thing as if he's high and mighty and above it? What a disingenuous person. Holy hell. My God. Hey, Pompous Maxi, XRP community member here. Joseph Lubin would like to know if he could have your name because he's a Pompous Maxi, right? Jeez. This is incredible. So then proceeding on with what John Deaton wrote here, though. Where was I? I clicked on... How did I lose my spot already? Like, we just freaking started this. Sorry, folks, here. Let me just start reading here. This had to have been it, right? This was it. Yeah, Lubin and ConsenSys announced the Brooklyn project. It was the first freaking tweet. Sorry, folks. No refunds, though. December 13th, 2017. Hinman has a meeting with Lubin and ConsenSys and lawyers from Sullivan and Cromwell. That's Clayton's law firm. December 14th, 2017. Matt Corva of ConsenSys, along with lawyers from Sullivan and Cromwell, state that they are building an alliance with the SEC. Well, how about that? ConsenSys, Joe Lubin, ConsenSys founding the Brooklyn Project, alliance with the SEC? Well, that's a little interesting, don't you think? And again, this is back towards the tail end of 2017, before the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech, which was summer of 2018, which we'll be getting to. But anyway, John continues. January 25th, 2018. Clayton meets with Andreessen and Horowitz and instructs them to put together a group and write up a memo. Perkins Coie, a member of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, leads this group of Ether investors. March 12th, 2018. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse speaks publicly about Ripple using XRP to replace SWIFT. March 26th, 2018. Perkins Coie sends Hinman the memo and safe harbor proposal. The only crypto asset mentioned in the safe harbor is Ether. Now, folks, that's kind of fascinating. All of these people all coordinating, and the only cryptocurrency out of the thousands in existence mentioned in safe harbor is Ether. What? And also, though, you got to kind of ask, given that Joe Lubin says, no, I mean, look, he didn't do it. There's no securities violations. What do you mean safe harbor? There were no securities violations in the first place, right? Jesus. March 28th, 2018. Ether investors meet secretly with Hinman asking for a regulatory free pass from the SEC. And mind you, we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the Bill Hinman speech here. April 19th, 2018. The meeting is leaked, and Nathaniel Popper reports Ether investors seek a non-security designation from the SEC. And so Nathaniel Popper, he's a reporter with the New York Times. And so he caught wind that there is this meeting where Ether investors are seeking non-security designation from the SEC. And then just several days later, April 23rd, 2018, Gary Gensler, mind you, Gary Gensler, he was not yet the supreme leader of the SEC. He was not yet Kim Jong-Gary. He was just Gary Gensler back then, good old Gare Bear. So April 23rd, 2018, Gary Gensler comments that Ripple and Ethereum and crypto need more regulatory clarity. And by the way, I'm not sure if that was the exact date that... I have a video clip in my mind, and I shared it on the channel. I just don't remember the exact date. It could be that date. But Gary Gensler quite literally acknowledged in video form that Ripple specifically did not have sufficient regulatory clarity from the SEC. Now he's running the SEC, and now he's in charge now. Now he's claiming that there's always been sufficient regulatory clarity for Ripple. Isn't that rich? Isn't it funny how 3 years will just change your mind? So which Gary was being honest? The Gary in 2018 that said that Ripple didn't have sufficient regulatory clarity, or the one in 2021 who allows the SEC to argue that it is? Which one? What do you think? And then also on April 23rd, 2018, SEC meets again with Joe Lubin and ConsenSys. Why is the SEC meeting with Joe Lubin and ConsenSys so damn much? What's going on here? May 10th, 2018. John Deaton references Liz Clayman here, her show on Fox Business. It's called the Clayman Countdown. And so he tags Liz Clayman, says, on Liz Clayman's show, Charles Gasparino reports the Brooklyn Project and ConsenSys, along with Joseph Lubin, are working closely with regulators to create a self-regulatory body being sanctioned by the SEC. Now pause and think about this. You've got the co-founder of Ethereum, founder of ConsenSys, created the Brooklyn Project, ended up ultimately, they didn't at this point in time, but ultimately got a free pass from the SEC from a regulatory perspective, Ethereum in the clear, and they are creating a self-regulatory body that's sanctioned by the SEC to help determine which cryptocurrencies are securities and aren't securities and plotting a path forward for the entire crypto space? What? Are you kidding me? Just like this is like this these are facts. Like this actually happened, and we're supposed to sit here and take all this and think that nothing shady happened, and we're supposed to believe that there's been an equal distribution of justice surrounding Ripple and Ethereum and Joe Lubin and Brad Garlinghouse and all these people. That this has been fair and a sufficient and equal distribution of justice? Hell no, it hasn't. Absolutely. At the least, this is pure incompetency and favoritism. At the least. I suspect it's worse than that, though. I think it's self-interest that led all this. I mean, I would suspect, just being a 38-year-old man, having lived life, I got it, self-interest. And these people, they clearly benefited from a lot of the stuff that went down here. And so, like they benefited, So what we can argue about whether or not it was intentional. Like that's the part we don't know. But is it that much of really all this was coincidence and it just happened to benefit them? Which is why I'm still a bit careful with my words, but you can tell which way I'm leaning on this. It's not looking pretty. And then John writes, the Brooklyn Project attempts to correct Gasparino's report. And again, Gasparino reported that Brooklyn Project and ConsenSys, along with Joe Lubin, are working closely with regulators to create a self-regulatory body being sanctioned by the SEC. And the Brooklyn Project, apparently they didn't want that out, and they're saying nope, and they correct that report. But then Gasparino, who is a journalist with Fox Business, and he has been for, I guess, over a decade at this point, Gasparino ain't having it. John writes, Gasparino rebukes this attempt and tweets out he knows what he was told by Andrew Keys about the SEC. And so Gasparino ain't having it. He's like, no, this is what I was told. This is the truth. And so that wasn't supposed to get out, apparently. That's what it looks like anyway. And then May 12th, 2018. Lubin says he is, quote, making great strides with regulators, end quote. Getting closer to that Bill Hinman speech, too. About a month away at this point. And then May 24th, 2018. Lubin claims he can issue tokens in ways detailed in Hinman's speech, which hasn't yet happened. So think about that. How the hell did he have that? Is it just a coincidence that he spoke the way that he spoke? Well, probably not. So how the hell did he have this information? Right? I know you're thinking the same thing as me. It's absurd. This guy, Lubin, however it happened, he's clearly an insider and best friends with everybody at the SEC, or at least the people that were in charge back then. Now, with new leadership right now and things getting even more draconian, he may end up finding that even he's not protected. But still, you can see the level of confidence that he had at least back then, and he still seems to hold it today. But if I were him, I'd be a little bit more concerned just looking at how SEC Supreme Leader Kim Jong-Gary's been behaving lately. And then there's this, June 5th, 2018. Mike Novogratz, by the way, so Mike Novogratz, he's the founder of Galaxy Digital, gigantic crypto hedge fund. Mike Novogratz, who's close friends with Joe Lubin, by the way, says he will bet, quote, dimes to donuts, end quote, the SEC will declare present-day Ether not a security. And mind you, the Bill Hinman speech, as is cited here by John, it's just 9 days away. And here you have Novogratz. How does he have this insight? Doesn't it seem to look the way everything flows together so perfectly? Doesn't it seem that Lubin got the word from Billy Hinman, perhaps, because he's been meeting with him? And then Lubin being friends with Novogratz puts something out. It makes it look like it's insightful, just came from him, but he probably got it from Lubin. Wouldn't that make more sense, especially considering the timing and the confidence with which Mike Novogratz said what he said? Little suspicious, don't you think? And then he writes, Novogratz also predicts the SEC will soon pick a token and go after it. How about that? I tell you what, he's like Nostradamus, man. This guy, they're all Nostradamus as far as I'm concerned. They know how the future will unfold. Then John writes, the speech was attached to 63 emails. Love to know who got all that. June 8th, 2018, ConsenSys meets with SEC again, and Lubin says the market needs the SEC to scare certain projects away. June 13th, 2018, a memo analyzing whether XRP is a security is passed among SEC staff, and in parentheses he writes, SEC refuses to turn it over because it's likely inconclusive XRP is a security. Yep. Well, what the hell else could it be? If the answer is yes, you just release it. If the answer is no, well, then case over. And if it's inconclusive, which seems more likely, that just plays into Ripple's fair notice defense. So either way, this is bad news, and you can understand why the SEC doesn't want this getting out here. But yes, there was a memo the day before the Hinman speech. And so here you go. Now we're caught up to that. June 14th, 2018. Hinman speech, which declares, quote, putting aside the fundraising, end quote, of Ethereum's ICO, Ether is not a security. Why are we putting aside the fundraising, though? Can we stop putting aside the fundraising? Because that's a serious infraction. And it's just the fact that they wouldn't go after Ethereum, but they did go after Ripple, and there was no ICO with XRP. The XRP ledger and XRP fully functional before Ripple, the company, existed. That's supposed to be important, damn it. Really grinds my gears, folks. Really grinds my gears getting all ground up in this bitch. John continues. After Hinman, Lubin appears on the same stage, claiming he, quote, wasn't able to read through Bill's entire speech, end quote, and asks, listen to this, this is Joseph Lubin asking, quote, if Hinman, quote, spoke about XRP, end quote, at all. So there you go. Hinman gave a speech. Lubin didn't get to catch everything. Wanted to know if he spoke about XRP at all. The moderator responds that XRP wasn't mentioned, and Lubin replies with 2 words. That's interesting. What was Lubin expecting? I don't even know which way to look at this. I mean, and not that I'd expect him to come out and say, Ethereum's not a security, XRP is. I'm not expecting that in that speech. But was there a world where perhaps Lubin thought that XRP was going to be included in there, along with what his comments about Bitcoin and Ethereum? Is that a possibility? I don't know. That's only speculation. But what? Like, why was he surprised? Because look, Lubin clearly in the know, right? He's getting special information from Bill Hinman, good old Billy Hinman here. Why was he surprised XRP wasn't mentioned in the speech? That's a legit question. June 26, 2018. Brad Garlinghouse notes Coinbase announced it was listing Ethereum 2 days before the speech. Or wait, that's Ethereum Classic, right? ETC, yeah. So anyway, Brad Garlinghouse notes Coinbase announced it was listing ETC, Ethereum Classic. I'm about 100% sure that's correct, right? 2 days before the speech. June 26, 2018. Lubin tells Dominic, I think it's Dominic Chu, is that? Yeah, I looked at this before. Dominic Chu, who's with CNBC. So Lubin tells Dominic Chu he believes that Ripple/XRP is massively overvalued. Now, that is fascinating, considering the state of Ethereum, especially back then. And the fact that if you want to talk about value, look, we were in a bear market right then. Everything moves together. It's just funny that he thinks that, Ethereum's adequately valued, right? Okay. But no. XRP, supremely overvalued. The whole market moves together, but Ethereum, yes. XRP, no. It's very clear that Lubin is not a fan of Ripple and not a fan of XRP. I've highlighted enough stuff from him over the years that it's pretty damn clear where he stands with this. And then July 6, 2018, Lubin says, quote, I drove lots of the legal work. We got a piece of paper in our pocket before we actually launched the token sale, end quote. And so he notes here, Ether held an ICO in 2014. And so that video clip, I've seen that, I've watched it a number of times myself, and it's Lubin saying, just what was said there, that was the quote, we got a piece of paper in our pocket before we actually launched the token sale. Does anybody know what that is? I've sought out additional context for that. What is this piece of paper? What does it mean? There's certainly a possibility I just missed it, but I've been wondering for many days at this point, and I haven't seen any clarity. I've been following on social media. I haven't seen anybody cite what it is. If anything, I've just seen questions about it. It's like, what does it mean? What's the paper? When you got a paper saying what from who about a token sale. Like, what is that? So it's just more questions. August 19th, 2018. Lubin praises the SEC and claims it has given, quote, pretty high quality clarity, end quote, regarding crypto. Look, why do you think Lubin's praising the SEC? He just got a free pass. Of course, it's been a couple months right after that point, and he's still giving that spiel today. And it's just so funny. Joseph Lubin, just about the only person with, interest in Ethereum, which is about the only crypto that's gotten quote unquote clarity from the SEC, if you will. And funny enough, not only is it he part of the only crypto that's really got clarity, other than Bitcoin. He happens to be about the only person in crypto that thinks the SEC is doing a good job and that the SEC has provided sufficient regulatory clarity. That is such a minority position. I mean, I would argue that from what I've seen, it certainly seems to me that less than 1% of humans working in the crypto and blockchain space think the SEC is doing a good job. But he's one of them, and he just happened to have been treated well by the SEC. Coincidence? Methinks not. John continues. Lubin adds that Clayton, quote, indicated they wouldn't be grandfathering anybody in, end quote, and that, quote, the securities law issues are pretty close to resolved, end quote. Of course, contrast Lubin's claims with Commissioner Hester Peirce's criticism regarding the lack of clarity back in 2018 that still exists today. And yes, indeed, Commissioner Hester Peirce says there is not sufficient regulatory clarity, and here somehow Lubin knows what's going on. He knows what's going on from Clayton, Jay Clayton, asshat Clayton, that securities laws are pretty close to resolved. Okay, that just makes no damn sense in the world. September 17th, 2018. Lubin warns of a reckoning coming for the SEC for certain people. September 26, 2018. Gary Gensler, and again, he's not yet Kim Jong-Gary. He is just Gary Gensler. Back, because this is September 26, 2018, not running the SEC yet. Gary Gensler describes XRP as a currency in the banking sector. October 15th, 2018. Lubin says he escaped Ethereum being an unregistered security by creating a reality through words. Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what that means, but fascinating nonetheless. I'm sure it's slimy and snaky, whatever the hell it means, because it's Joe Lubin, right? John Deaton, October 28th, 2018. Nancy Wojtas, I don't know how to say that. I can't even say mouth words right now. Wojtas. What do I do with that? Like, what do I do? Can you shake those letters around in like a different order so that I could pronounce them? Because that's not working for me. Anyway, Nancy Wojtas, who participated in the secret meeting in March, disagrees with Hinman that Ether is sufficiently decentralized to not be a security. And this is interesting. Check this out. Wendy Moore of Perkins Coie adds, quote, then why isn't Ripple? Of course, she's talking about XRP, but still, then why isn't Ripple? Because, and then in parentheses here, XRP Ledger is arguably more decentralized than Ether. Exactly. So if Ether gets a pass, sufficiently decentralized, why not XRP? Says Wendy Moore with Perkins Coie. January 19th, 2019. Lubin says, quote, we are big friends and fans, end quote, of the SEC. Keep on sucking up. Keep on sucking up, Joe Lubin. You go ahead. It worked out for you. Screw the rest of the industry. It's good for you. You do you, man. Big fans of the SEC. He says SEC has introduced a new construct called decentralization into their thinking, and Bitcoin and Ether aren't securities, and he states that, quote, they have not said the same about other tokens like XRP, end quote. But they should, if that's the benchmark, decentralization, which actually makes sense. XRP is decentralized. It has to do with a prong of the Howey test as to whether or not there's a common enterprise, so that's why it matters. But why are you bringing up XRP? You got a lot of XRP on the mind there. What additional insight do you have that you haven't shared publicly? John continues. Lubin claims to know the SEC is not going to find any tokens other than Bitcoin and Ether to be decentralized, dropping Hinman's name as his source of information. January 2019. Coinbase meets with SEC and informs them that they have run XRP through their securities framework. Coinbase and its lawyers conclude XRP is not a security and inform the SEC its plans to list XRP, but wants to make sure it's not running afoul of securities laws. The SEC does not state it believes XRP to be a security, and on February 28th, 2019, Coinbase lists XRP for trading. Now think about this. How has the SEC been behaving lately? You know about Coinbase's Lend product they wanted to launch, which they've since scrapped. It's at a minimum it's shelved. They're not launching it. It was an opportunity for customers to have interest-bearing accounts so they can loan out their crypto and just earn interest on it, which all sorts of other entities in the United States do. Well, the Coinbase ran the framework, the whole program of the Lend program they wanted to launch by the SEC, and then they were threatened with a lawsuit if they launched the damn thing. And so think about that. They got really aggressive, yet here, the SEC, in communicating with Coinbase, says, hey, just so you know, we're going to go ahead and list XRP, and they're silent. They don't say anything. Well, what the hell is that? Could it be because back then, in 2019, the SEC didn't know if XRP was a security? Could that be why they didn't say that? Methinks the answer is yes. June 19th, 2019. Ripple buys 9% stake in MoneyGram with the SEC's full knowledge that Ripple will transfer XRP to MoneyGram for cross-border payments, and that MoneyGram would likely sell that XRP in the secondary market to XRP holders with no connection to Ripple. So pause right there and think about that. Why would the SEC approve this relationship between Ripple and MoneyGram, knowing that it was going to harm investors? Because that's the claim, right? All of us investors, XRP trading, we don't have full disclosure and protections from the SEC. My gosh. That's horrible. Why would they do something that would speed that up if it's so clear that XRP is not a security? Right? I know it's completely absurd, but this is the reality that we're dealing with. This is what we're living in here. Really steams my vegetables, folks. September 12th, 2019. Nancy Watjuz admits most of Hinman's speech was lifted from the investors' proposal in meetings that we had, that's a quote, meetings that we had, led by Andreessen and Perkins Coie. Well, how about that? So not his own original thoughts even. September 15th, 2019. Lubin admits that at Ether's launch, quote, we needed to put out something that we knew was not scalable, end quote. Think about that. Ethereum was never intended to be long-term viable. They just needed to put something out because they collected a bunch of money, so they did that. They put something out. What? How could this, with the ICO and something that's not, it's not even sufficiently production ready, how does that get a free pass? With XRP, it doesn't need upgrades. I mean, sure, validators can vote to change things here and there if there's little tweaks to the ledger, but it's in its final form in terms of functionality. If you want to make adjustments, fine. But it doesn't need this constant, endless work. With XRP Ledger, it's so blazing fast, technologically superior. It just works. It's superior for payments. Then you compare that to Ether, there is no comparison. It's a prototype that doesn't work and doesn't scale. And we'll see if they can ever fix the scalability issue, but it sure as hell doesn't look like it. And so this is not me just saying all this stuff to attack Ether. I hold Ether, by the way. I'm just saying there's not an equal distribution of justice. That's the reason I'm bringing it up, not to attack Ether. And the same is true for John. He's not saying it to attack Ether or to state that Ether should be, go after Ethereum. No. He's not saying the SEC should go after him. There's just not an equal distribution of justice. August 25th through the 28th, 2020. ConsenSys acquires Quorum, and Lubin says his Quorum acquisitions offering is a, quote, interbank information network, end quote. That's, quote, similar to what Swift does, end quote, and adds that ConsenSys supports JP Morgan's own stablecoin, JPM Coin, which is a direct competitor to Ripple and XRP. Well, color me surprised. October 6, 2020. Lubin admits he has a regulatory advantage and claims, quote, Bitcoin and Ether arrived before regulators were paying attention, end quote, and, quote, we were fortunate enough to frame our token as a utility token, end quote. He says all altcoins are spectacularly disadvantaged when compared to Ethereum. October 2020. One River bets $1 billion on Bitcoin and Ether. November 20th, 2020. Vitalik Buterin, co-founder of Ether, states, we are getting rid of the network's proof of work mechanism to replace it with one, quote, entirely based on proof of stake, end quote, and admits that, quote, It's still a leap that people have to take, end quote. So think about that. Where's the production ready thing? It's getting updated in November of 2020, less than a year ago. And that thing's production ready. That's good to go. That's decentralized enough. How is it that they get to make these decisions and do these upgrades when it's sufficiently decentralized? Because I'll tell you what, Ripple has proposed at least one amendment for the XRP ledger, and validators didn't like it, and it didn't get approved. So, because the XRP ledger is sufficiently decentralized. How do you compare these two and come to the conclusions the SEC has come to? This is not justice, folks. It isn't. December 22nd, 2020, walking out the SEC, Clayton votes for and directs the case against Ripple, his client's competitor, claiming all XRP sales the last 7.5 years constitute investment contracts with Ripple, including all secondary market sales with no connection to Ripple. Clayton goes to One River to push Bitcoin and Ether. At the SEC, Hinman collected $15 million from his law firm, a board member of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, and is now a partner at Andreessen's $2.2 billion crypto fund, the same investors who helped write the speech. These are the facts, and they are not in dispute. And that's how John Deaton wrapped this up. Incredible, isn't it? This is a pure masterpiece. The amount of time it had to have taken to compile all this and put it out. Now, obviously, he's doing a lot of work on the case, obviously, now that he's officially in. No, not that he just started, but I'm just saying he's done a lot of work. He continues to do a lot of work. And especially now that he's in the case, and because Judge Ledman, on behalf of over 38,000 XRP holders, a lot to look at. But it's just impressive the way he's put this all together. And when it's spelled out just like this, I think the typical person, just an unbiased person who's a blank slate, even if they don't really understand a whole lot about crypto, if you have to explain a few things along the way about how crypto works, I think if they just learn the facts, I think the typical person would be like, yeah, that ain't right. That ain't right, son. That would be the roughly the response that I would expect. Bunch of asshats. Bunch of asshats. This is why we can't have nice things, folks. So anyway, kudos to John Deaton. Always giving the shout out to him. He's just killing it out there. We're all appreciative out there. He's really fighting for all of us. It's amazing, and it's working. Look at he's really getting traction here with mainstream media and in the case now, the SEC versus Ripple case. Whew, love to see it. You love to see it. I'll go ahead and wrap up here though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.